In this video, we are going to get some practice typing our matrices into MATLAB, as well as using our different indices. So we're going to start by typing in this matrix right here. So the first row is 1, 2, 3, 4. Second row is 7, 4, 6, 3. Third row is 2, 1, 9, 7. So we note here that this is we have 1, 2, 3 rows. So it's a 3 by 1, 2, 3, 4 columns. This is a 3 by 4 matrix. So we're going to go ahead and type this into MATLAB. So on the page above this, I talked about some different ways that you can type in matrices. I'm going to use one of those ways here where we're going to type it out all in one line. So I'm going to go here to my command window. I'm going to type in A is equal to, so I have a square bracket. That means that I am starting to type in a matrix. So a square bracket starts an array or a matrix. In this class, we use the words array and matrix interchangeably. You can use kind of either one. So our first row is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our next row, we're going to use a semicolon, is 7, 4, 6, 3. And then our next row, semicolon, 2, 1, 9, 7. We're going to close out with a square bracket. If I want to suppress output at this point, I would put a semicolon. If I want to print it, I'm just going to type enter. And we see that we have printed that matrix right there. There are other ways to do this. We could have gone in and basically typed in each entry by entry, A11 equals 1, A12 equals 2, and so on and so on. But that would take a lot longer to use that method. So let's say I want to select this 4. So I want the 2, 2 entry in A. And I want to call that a new variable. So I'm going to call it A2, 2. Or I could call it A index 2, 2. Remember, I can only use numbers, letters, and underscores in my variable name. So I'm going to say A underscore index underscore 2 underscore 2. And that's going to equal to A 2, 2. That's how I would grab the second row, second column of A. I'm going to press enter, and that gives us 4. If I wanted to replace that with something else, let's say if instead of 4, I find out that that value should be 5. The way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go here and I'm going to type A2, 2 is equal to 5. I'm going to type in enter, and we see that value is now 5. Something that's important to note, and this is true everywhere in MATLAB, is that our A index 2, 2 is not updated because that command, this command here, happened before this command. So it happened. We said that A index 2, 2 is whatever's in A2, 2, which is 4. And then we updated that value, but it doesn't go back and update this value. So that's important to note, and is very common in programming. And I sometimes see errors once we get to more complex programming where we get errors because we're expecting variables to update when we haven't actually updated them. If we want to type this line again, so remember how we grab a previous line, we can use that up arrow. So I'm going to up arrow once, up arrow again, and I get that line. If I press enter here, it executes that command again. And now I have updated the value of A index 2, 2 is equal to 5. I'm going to clear this out, start with a nice new thing. I'm just going to print out A. The way I'm going to do that, I'm going to type A and press enter. So let's say I wanted to grab this. Oh, it's not going to let me highlight. So I'm going to go here. And if I want to grab this part of the matrix, so I can do that by specifying, so I'm going to have A. Let's use a different color here so we can see it better. So I'm trying to grab this little 2 by 2 matrix within that A matrix. In order to do that, I'm going to type A and then the indices of the rows. So this is the second and third row. So I'm going to do 2 colon 3. So that means the second to third row. I'm going to do a comma, and this is our third and fourth column. So I'm going to do 3 colon 4. So let's go ahead and type that into MATLAB and see what we get. I know I'm throwing this new notation at you, this colon right here, and this is also a lot of new information, so be sure to ask questions if you have them. So remember, you can ask questions directly under this video. At any point, you just type in the question. I get an email, it'll pop up, at that timestamp. Or you can ask questions on Slack as well, or come to office hours and ask those questions. But I know this is a lot of new stuff that we're throwing at you right now. So if you have questions, please, please, please ask them. Okay, so we're gonna go type this into MATLAB to see what we get. So here's MATLAB. Remember, I'm trying to get this right here. So A, this means the second to the third row, comma, and we want the third and the fourth column. I'm going to type enter, and that gives us 6397. If I wanted to grab, let's change our color here. If I wanted to grab this first column here, there's multiple ways to do that. The first way I'm going to do it is I'm going to say A, we want the first through the third row, so 1 to 3. And that is our first column. So I could go into MATLAB. I could call this A first column. And that's going to equal to A 1 to 3. So that's the rows 1 through 3, comma, first column. And that gives us 1, 7, 2, which is the first column of A. Another way that I can do that, and this is a little bit new notation, so A first column, I could say if I wanted every row, I can just put a colon, comma, 1. So this colon in place of an actual index means every row. Let's do another example of that. So if I wanted to get this second row right here, 7, 4, 6, 3, I would come over here to MATLAB and I would say A, we want the second row, every column. Another way that I could type that, so if we don't feel comfortable just using this colon yet, we can still type out the exact index. So 2, and we want columns 1 through 4. So I recommend kind of practicing a little, seeing, how would you grab this 7, 5, 2, 1, or this 1, 2, 7, 5, 2, 1, or 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 9. So get some practice with this indexing and kind of grabbing those values. Also replacing any of the values. So if we wanted to replace this 4 right here, if I wanted to replace that, remember, then that goes on the left side because we're saying put something into this. So we're saying into A, this is the first row, fourth column, we want to put the value, 10. And now we see that we have that value 10. So this equal sign, remember in programming, whatever is on the right is saying put this into whatever is on the left. So that's important to remember about our equal sign. So this is just some practice with building matrices and using our indices. We will get so much more practice on this throughout the semester. Right after this, you're going to have a little practice problem to work through from the book, but you will get more practice doing this in this class.